Welcome back to their episode of the Five Tool Baseball Podcast. We're up to episode 58. I'm Dustin McComas, joined once again, as always, by Drew Bishop. And what day is it? Tuesday. I hope you had a good weekend. Drew, we had 2 birthday parties and an Easter egg hunt. I don't know about you, but that was a different level of tired I experienced at the end of Sunday after all of that. It's exhausting going to for parties with toddler age children because they're kind of at they're you know how it is. He's at the age where they want to explore a lot and they're on the move, but they're not at the age where you can't just turn your head away and kind of let them do their thing, because you might hear cries 5 minutes later and what are you doing? You face planted. How did this happen? Type of thing. So I'm still recovering, but that was a different level of tired I experienced at the end of Sunday.
Yeah, no, I can only imagine, from our birthday party the weekend before, you're trying to play host, watching the door, trying to keep our dogs in our bedroom and going crazy. And then, wanting to watch our son, hoping he's not going to get upset with other kids playing with his toys.
You're right.
And then, there's a lot of hats being juggled there, or a lot of balls being juggled as far as priorities go. But so I get it. We did the Easter egg hunt on Sunday. We were down in San Antonio. Mary's parents hosted there, and we had he found all 38 Easter eggs.
38,
so,
man.
38. Yeah.
So is he really into them? Because Jack kind of just is I'd rather go play with some other toys. I wasn't really into the eggs. But once he figured out there were things in the eggs, that was kind of a game changer. Yeah.
That was the thing. And so he liked finding the eggs, then he liked opening the eggs. And then we made the mistake of having the empty eggs in view for our drive home from San Antonio.
Oh, yeah.
Because I'd hand it to him and he would open it and then he'd lose his mind that there was nothing in there. So it was, we messed up there. And the drive down, we made it down in 4-ish hours, 4.5 hours.
That's pretty good.
San Antonio. Well, it evened itself out by taking over 6.5 hours getting back.
See, what did I tell you? There's no such thing as a normal trip to that city, time-wise.
Well, we got caught 5 cars away from a car that exploded, basically. It was on fire. And so we didn't move for an hour. And then Waco was its typical self.
Yeah.
Even the little going around Waco a little bit, it was kind of disheartening. We tried to go around, follow ways and do all that stuff. And we get back to get on the highway, and the bus that we were right behind when we took the little detour route was right back in front of us again. So it saved us 0 time whatsoever. Yeah. So thanks a lot, ways.
Did you any good food updates from San Antonio? Or I imagine you probably did a bunch of family stuff and didn't get out a whole lot.
Yeah, my mother-in-law made these really good potatoes, and we always do ham at their house.
Okay.
And it was good. Mary made an apple pie that was really good.
Oh, nice.
We've got some food allergies that we're dealing with on her side of the family, so it's we tend to have the same things a lot, but luckily we've gotten those food safe recipes down, it seems and tend to have the same meal, but it's good, so I'll take it. Had some leftover ham to bring back, so that was nice.
There you go.
And then Mary's determined from our birthday party to use the leftover hot dog buns that we did not use.
Okay.
So in the past week and a half, we have tried about 3 different recipes for usage of hot dog buns. So we had meatball sandwiches, French toast. It was amazing. She cut up the little hot dogs in these made little French toast squares. They were good. So we did that twice, meatball sandwiches twice. And I used we're getting close. Put a dent in it.
Yeah. I'd
we overestimated the hot dog consumption for the birthday party.
Yeah, for you it was hot dogs. For me, it was beer. Like I was like, all these adults are coming. It's like, oh, I gotta make sure I have enough. And it's just like I ended up taking like not the worst problem in the world, but I ended up taking like half of it back home and putting them in my fridge or whatever, which will go good once I get a chance to paint my new tavern to go bar outside that was delivered. And it was incredible. They put that thing up, and I published some pictures on Instagram, but they had that thing up and done in like an hour and a half tops. Like it was really cool.
So you weren't doing it. So you
no chance. Like I am not. I'm not one of those types of. I don't know. My mind does not work well doing that stuff. Same. Like I don't know what it is. Like that, that red and yellow little Tykes Coop thing for Jack. Like the YouTube video says it should take 45 minutes. It took me like 4 hours, and then putting together his house. My mind just doesn't. I'm not good at that sort of stuff. So I got no problems admitting that. But a fun weekend, but certainly a tiring weekend. Before we get to some games that we saw and some players that we saw recently, I mentioned this guy last week, Rory Sasaki in Japan. Did you see what he did after his 19 strikeout perfect game?
Yeah, they went the Dodgers route and pulled him though. They pulled him.
He had a perfect game through 8 with 14 strikeouts, and they pulled him out. That's nutty what he's doing over there. Just a matter of time before he ends up over here at the major league level. And you're a Rangers fan. Did you see what Joe Madden did in that game?
Yeah, and the best part about it was seeing the Trout reaction.
Yeah, to it. Where his head is moving as he's counting base runners, and he's like, what?
Yeah, that was so funny. Like I was dying laughing. Like I don't understand what in the world Madden. I mean, I know he has a reputation of trying to get a little bit cute, but like it's the Rangers pitching staff on the other side, and it's the 4th inning. So he gives up a grand slam. Okay, big deal. Like they would have erased it in that next half inning, like they did.
Yeah. And his like reading some of the quotes, his reasoning was like very psychological. Like he felt like for some reason the team psyche and mentally would benefit from it. I don't know. Like I really wish they would have lost the game, because it like would have been a much bigger deal and been like way more ridiculous than it was, which it was extremely ridiculous. But yeah, he had some weird reasoning, and of course they won the game. And I don't know, like, me, I'm a huge fantasy baseball junkie, and some of these lineups he's putting out with like, it amazes me that they spent as much money as they did, and they have like Matt Duffy hitting cleanup sometimes, and it's just like it gets to like the top 3 guys, and it's like who are like Joe Adell on the bench sometimes, Brandon Marsh on the bench sometimes. It's I don't know, between him and Dusty Baker, and there was another one the other day that was just driving me nuts, an older manager. It's just like, come on, you guys gotta get with the times. But anyway, you and I were both at some games last week, Thursday. A lot of teams didn't play on Good Friday. I kept it a little bit local and went to Dripping Springs, and I'd actually seen Dripping Springs a couple of times, but I saw them in tournament play, so I hadn't seen Brandon Arvidson pitch since the fall when he was with the Dodgers scout team. So I went to go see him in Alamo Heights, and was pretty excited about an arm that they've got, an uncommitted senior arm I'll touch on here shortly. But Arvidson ended up going 6 innings, 1 earned run, 3 hits, 3 walks, and 12 strikeouts. He kind of labored through the second, but other than that, man, it was really good. He was up to 89 with the fastball. The curveball was his go-to pitch, low 70s. He showed the slider occasionally, 2 different breaking balls there, but the curveball was the one he went to more often. And we know the changeup's the weapon. It's what it's been since the summer and the fall. It remains, I think, his best pitch. Racked up a lot of swings and misses of 78 to 80 miles an hour. Tall guy, athletic guy. I think Texas A&M's got to be really, really excited, because he's got a lot of physical gifts, and I don't think he's getting everything out of those gifts yet. Just some things that can kind of be tweaked that I think Nate Yeske is going to do with him at A&M. I think you'll see the velocity tick up in the future. But when you talk about a guy that's got that size and that athleticism, and he's already able to throw 4 pitches, that's a really promising sign for the future. But yeah, when that changeup gets going, these guys just have really uncomfortable takes or really uncomfortable swings at it. And he's really able to throw that breaking ball over in fastball counts, go up the ladder with the fastball and get some swings and misses there. So a really strong start for him and a win for Dripping Springs. Nico Reedus closed it out, pitching the 7th inning for them. And then I got shout out to Aiden Perry. He's a Dakota State University signee, hits 2-hole left-handed hitter. I don't know how that guy got out of the state of Texas. He can hit, man. I've seen him a couple of times. He can really hit. Little undersized, but he just gets in the box, and he's one of those guys that takes really quality at bats. Seems like he really sees the ball well from the left side. So Dakota State University is getting a good one with him. I think he's going to go up there and really hit at a high level. Alamo Heights, I was really excited to hear about James Sobey. I was messaging with Edward Hart, Duke signee. He pitches the other day in the district schedule. And I was a little confused because I showed up and he wasn't pitching and he was supposed to pitch. And I was like, oh no, what happened? I see him at third base. Like, what's going on here? Like, that's what the big attraction was, getting down here and seeing Arvidson and him. And he came in the 4th inning when they were down already, I believe 4-1 or 5-1. So I was kind of scratching my head at that, but he looked the part, man. He's QB1 for the football team. Really athletic, great looking, 6'3", maybe 6'4", quick arm. He threw 3 shutout innings, 3 shutout no-hit innings with 5 strikeouts. Had the fastball command. He was up to 89. Curveball flashed occasionally. He threw a couple that were really uncomfortable takes for right-handed hitters. But man, he threw a couple of changeups that were maybe the best senior changeup I've seen this year. This is a guy that's got a future. There was one college there watching him. Won't mention them so they can kind of keep their cover, but they had gotten the word and they are there getting a look in. And I think this guy's got a chance. The fastball shape can improve. It plays down a little bit, but he can command it. You can go to my Twitter account. I've got a couple of pitches on there. You can see one instance where the catcher is putting the target high and he gets it right to that target. He was getting it to the arm side a little bit against those righties. So he was moving the fastball with some execution. Curveball flash, changeup really flash. And you just, again, athletic guy that looks great physically, uncommitted, senior right-handed pitcher. He played third base as well. I believe he hit 2-hole for them. But to me, he looks like a pitcher all the way at the next level. And he's put up some really monstrous stats lately. And I can see why, because it's, he can hold his stuff and he's got 3 legitimate pitches. And that's a guy that I think if you're probably at the mid-major D1 level, and especially at the JUCO level, if you're still looking for arms in the 22 class, I would absolutely get down to the San Antonio area and get an eye on James Sobey. But they had a couple other guys as well. Bennett Angulo recently committed to Santa Clara, I believe in mid-February. Can really, really run, played a strong defense at shortstop. I don't know if he'll have to move to second at the next level because of the arm, but he made a great play in the hole to throw out Nico Reid. So really, really tough play. And then Park Zunker, who's a sophomore, really competitive at bats. I was a big fan of him. Athletic guy, can run. I think he's got a bright future for Alamo Heights. But to me, the takeaways, Arvidson was very Arvidson-ish. I feel really good about him being a 5'55" guy. I think he's got some things that can be tapped into at the next level. But if you're looking for a senior arm, go get some eyes on James Sobey, because I think he's got the ingredients to definitely be a guy that can throw some quality innings at the next level.
Well, yeah, it's interesting too, going back to Sobey. Like, there's been a bunch of QB1s that are guys that have spent a lot of time more so focused on the football side, that have had big springs. Mm-hmm. And like, you can tell there's a little bit of raw potential in a lot of them. That's exciting. And if you're at a big school in Texas or, even a medium-sized or small school in Texas, I guess, if we're being honest, if you go get QB1, you're going to have a little bit of leadership quality, I mean, that's a generalization, obviously, but there's definitely just kind of a moxie or a feel or, just kind of a presence that a lot of those QB1s have when they get in the box or get up on the mound. And it's kind of cool to see because, I know we've talked about this, but those dual sport guys, you at least have a little bit of room to project with them because you know that they've never fully been totally committed to baseball, which is it's kind of interesting to see. Like I saw Harrison Rosar last week. He was one of them. But it's just something that I'm looking forward to this summer to see some of those guys because there's some ability and some presence to them that you always like because they're obviously going to have a little bit of upside to them when they get up on the mound or in the box. I think.
And we talk about a lot too with these dual sport guys, especially if you're a quarterback at a big time Texas high school, like you have to be able to learn how to compete in that type of environment. And let's be honest, I mean, there's some pressure on those guys. You're in a lot of instances, you're kind of the talk of your neighborhood or your area or even your city in some cases with those smaller high schools, the Salinas of the world, where it's not a small high school, but it's like the only high school around. Like if you're a QB1 there, like everybody kind of knows who you are. So it's not surprising. You mentioned the way these guys carry themselves in the moxie and stuff like that. It's not surprising often because they've got to learn how to compete and how to handle, that sort of environment and those responsibilities that come with it. It's just a little bit different. I mean, let's be honest, like, we talk Texas high school baseball forever, but Texas high school football is like, that's, what Ricky Williams saying, it's a religion. Like it's a different kind of deal in Texas.
Well,
so
it's funny you say that because like I've been in a bunch of games where if the local quarterback isn't playing baseball, he's shown up at the game and like everyone's like, oh, there's so-and-so.
Right, exactly.
Everyone knows. So
it's a thing. You're the big man on campus or in the community or whatever it is. It's everybody typically knows who you are. So, and it's just oftentimes you don't typically see a guy that does that and is not athletic. Like,
right.
Especially with how many dual threat quarterbacks we see now and stuff like that. Like, we always say like, hey, take the path you want to take. But, the dual sport guys, like you kind of, it's a different athleticism, different kind of mental approach and things like that as well. So, I feel like we've mentioned so many of those guys over the course of the high school season. We were doing rankings and all that sort of stuff, but really excited to get a look at him. I was, for about 3 innings, I was like, oh my gosh, like, what happened? Cause you get excited when you hear there's a guy that's not committed anywhere and he's doing the things that he's doing. It's like, okay, like, let's see if we can get this guy a little exposure. Let's see if he's the real deal. Let's see if we can kind of get that name out there. And sure enough, that's absolutely a name that I think college coaches need to be tracking for sure.
Yeah, well, talking about that, I saw maybe one of my favorite pitchers that I've seen all year last Thursday in the Heritage Lone Star game. So my guy, Andrew Hickey, right? I don't know if you saw the videos, but
was this our guy that was the master of timing on the mound?
This is him. He is, we'll call him the crafty righty.
Okay.
But dude, like, it was so fun watching him pitch, and Brooks and I and Jeff were just loving it because he was, I mean, as a pitcher, you're trying to disrupt the hitter's timing. And that's the definition of what he was doing. Like within a single batter, he would quick pitch, do a double or triple leg kick. And it was just like, it was mesmerizing. Like he even does it in his warm-up pitches. Like he's practicing it. But I mean, you could tell like he was really frustrating to hit off of. And I thought it was funny because Lone Star ended up like flying out or popping out to right field over and over and over. Just, a lot of bat slams. But Heritage had a right fielder, uncommitted 22, Kelly Yancey, who's super athletic, playing out there. And this dude just making like circus catch after circus catch, and just really good feel for playing the position of right field. Like, I have to think that you could stick him in center field and he would do just fine out there. But it was fun watching him play. And it was just like, oh, here we go again. Like, the ball go up in the air, and he caught several balls in foul territory and had good actions and got to the ball well. But yeah, so it was a showdown with some of the top two teams in the district between Lone Star and Heritage. Dominick Reid got the start on the mound for Lone Star. And early on, I thought he was trying to overthrow a little bit. As he kind of settled in and as the game kind of ratcheted up in intensity, he got better and kind of got in the flow of the game. But he was really good. Stuff was really good. Had him up to 92.
Wow.
Good breaking ball, good changeup. I think he ended up striking out 14 of 16 or 6. I think it was 14 of 16. Yeah, it was impressive outing. The stuff was really good. Oklahoma State got a good one with him. And then the reliever that they brought in is brother of current Oklahoma State pitcher, Tyler Bogus, kind of a sidearm guy, just a different look. Like, I can see he's a Grayson commit right now, and he came in to finish out the game. But it's an uncomfortable at bat. It's different. And I know I get stuck on this a lot, but when I talk to a lot of the pro guys, it's not the velo. I mean, obviously velo wins or helps you win at the next level. But one of the things that a lot of the really good hitters will tell you is that, those aren't like, throwing hard is a thing, but throwing hard doesn't necessarily make you uncomfortable. Like some of these funky relievers that you'll see in the big leagues and in college. And it's just a tough at bat, especially if you don't get to see them a lot. If it's a guy in your division that you end up facing quite a bit throughout the year, that's one thing. But when you don't play teams that much in college baseball, like, I could see Tyler going to a big D1 program and being a big time reliever. Right. Just because it's such a different look and the stuff is good. And, I think we talked about him back in the fall as in one of my uncommitted spotlights, but I was impressed. Like, he was as advertised, did a good job moving the ball to both sides of the plate. And then Lone Star had another guy that we've seen a lot, Dallas Tiger player, Owen Peck. I think he's the leader of the team. I think they announced him as the captain, but it shows like he's just a really good ball player that plays really hard. He knows where to be. He's always a threat to take extra bases on balls in the dirt, or if a ball gets away from an outfielder or something. He's a heady player, and he's just comes from a winning team and knows how to play the game. So it was fun seeing those two teams play. Like I said at the beginning, Andrew Hickey, like, think that might have been my favorite performance of the year so far. Like, he had a bad second inning. And when I say bad, it was aided by some errors and some misplayed balls, but he went complete game through all 6 innings for Heritage and only gave up runs in that 1 inning. And the game ended up being, I think, 5-2. But he gave up 5 runs in that second inning. Like I said, they weren't all, I don't know what the box score read, but some of the balls that weren't errors were misplayed. And so it probably showed up as earned runs, but my man just kept throwing it in there and just frustrated those Lone Star hitters all night long. It was, it was entertaining to say the least.
We talked last week about the playoff strategy. If you flip the coin and you go for the one game, like imagine if you've got your stud, fireballer lined up on the other side, and then our man comes out there with the timing and the leg kicks, and it's just like, and you lose 1-0 because you don't see anything like that. Like that. Yeah. That's the type of thing that can happen in the playoffs.
If you want to see it, it's up on, like, I think I quote tweeted something about it from our 5 Tool Texas account that was at the game for the game of the week. And then Jeff also put it on Instagram. Like, it is entertaining. Like, I mean, he just kept throwing it in there and just, I mean, the stuff was like, it's nothing like off the charts as far as like velo or anything goes, but the guy knows how to pitch, and ultimately that's the name of the game. So it was a battle of contrasting styles on the mound, with Dominick having the really good stuff and Andrew moving the ball around and just frustrating those Lone Star hitters all night. But man, it was fun. So I want to see that guy pitch again. Like, I've already made it known. I want to see him throw again and just see if that was like a one-off thing. But I think he was all district last year, or maybe all district second team or something like that last year I saw. But it was definitely entertaining. Definitely.
Yeah, he might be a guy that could be like a one-man pitching staff, because he probably low effort, not a lot of stress in the arm.
I bet you if you allowed him to throw both games in the week, he would. That was just the feeling I got.
Yeah. And you mentioned the different arm looks too. It's becoming a bigger deal, because like you said, across the levels you go up now, like, guys are used to seeing velocity now. Like, they've figured out ways to train for it. They've seen it a bunch. And so it's a value to those colleges that have different looks coming out of the bullpen. You know, this is at the highest level, and they do it with velocity and stuff, but it's not always insane velocity and stuff. But the Rays are like this. Like, you go look at all their different release points in their pitching staff, and that's on purpose. Especially in the bullpen, where they're getting all these guys with different looks, that are moving the ball different ways, horizontally or vertically, or different release points and different, they're trying to give these hitters as many different looks as possible. I mean, the big thing now is starting pitchers, okay, the third time through the order, like, the numbers typically jump up on guys. And that's because hitters, okay, we've seen you twice. We've gotten a rhythm. We've gotten a feel for what your stuff looks like, where the ball's coming out, and all that sort of stuff. And, I think of, for us, when that Texas team in 18, Parker Joe Robinson, dropping the arm slot down, it's just like, I don't think he ever broke like 86 miles an hour, but it's just a different look. Like, guys just don't see that sort of stuff often. So, yeah, I think every college, every major college now is going to want to add at least a guy like that in the bullpen. And typically too, those guys that throw from those lower slots and stuff like that, they don't get as sore, because it's a more of a natural movement. Right. We mentioned, like, you don't see as many submarine guys anymore, but like that sort of thing, because it was under, those guys didn't really get sore ever, so they could throw so often. But yeah, it's just something I think that as we, learn more about pitching, especially at the college level, as the college level kind of copycats the pro level, like, you're going to see teams that want to try to get one of those guys, if they can, to throw in their bullpen, because it's just such a unique look. But you guys were texting me while that was going on, and I'm glad y'all got some video of it, because made me think of when we were talking about the flipping the coin. It's like, man, can you imagine running into that dude in a 1-game playoff and like losing 1-0?
Yeah. So the funny thing about that is that, I always start the video too early, and then I have to go back and edit it later to clip it together. But, the pros like Jeff and Nick Klein, they start it just like right at the right time all the time. But the problem that we kept running into with Andrew is he would quick pitch and you wouldn't get it. You would only see the flight of the ball. So we didn't have a lot of good like quick pitch video, but there were some hilarious swings on the quick pitch. Like, it was so great. Like, I just like can't get over how enjoyable that was to watch. Like, I don't know that I'd want to see that every game, but like, and it's at the right time, like, that'll win games. And I think like you said, if they get into the playoffs and they go up against a team that's like, I don't know what, I'll be honest, I don't know what the other Heritage pitcher is like. So I don't, I'm just making stuff up as I go. But like, you're right. Like, if they went up against a team that could just mash, and they felt like they were at a disadvantage in a 3-game series, I would try for one. Like, I mean, what's it going to hurt?
Right. Yeah. I mean, if you've got that sort of like totally unique look, yeah, I would say that you have got an opportunity to go for it. Yeah. So they're 9-4 in district right now, which is tied for first. So
what is okay? Why you have that up? What else you got in that? Because I may go over to what read me off the Frisco district.
So Frisco, Liberty, and Heritage are tied at top of district at 9-4. And then at 8, you got 3 teams at 8-5: Independence, Lone Star, and Wakefield. And then Reedy's at 7-6, and Memorial's at 6-7. And then you go down in Lebanon Trail, Centennial, and
Lebanon.
Frisco. Lebanon, sorry.
This isn't it's not LeBaron Johnson.
Well, I thought Lebanon was a country and it had 3 ends, not 2. So I thought it was a different. Those 3 teams are at the bottom. So you've got a tight race in there. 3 teams separated by basically 2 games, or excuse me, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 teams separated by 3 games. No, 2 games or less, and then another one separated by 3. So that's, yeah, it's and let me take a look. Yeah. Let's look here at Heritage. So you're at the 5-2 game that they lost. I mean, I'm assuming our guy usually pitches. Yeah, looks like some
Thursday, Friday.
Low run totals in those games that he's pitching. In general too, they don't look like a staff that's giving up many runs, so they might be tough to hit. So his name was Andrew Hickey. They've got another pitcher, Bryce Gilchrist, who was a second team all district pitcher last year. So they've probably got a pretty formidable.
Hey, they're a money ball team. They're a money ball team for
Love
sure
it.
Because. So their leadoff hitter is not your typical leadoff hitter. Hey,
we're not selling jeans.
That's right. That's right. But they were fun to watch. It was a good game to go to. So, but anyways.
Yeah. So if you want to see some entertaining action, get the District 9-5A and get some eyes on Heritage for sure. Especially when our guy Andrew Hickey's on the mound for them. But I so hope that they get in the playoffs and it's like we look up in the 3rd round and there he is just carving dudes up left and right, which is a totally unique look. And speaking of carving guys up, I mentioned this guy after I went and saw Katie and Cinco Ranch, Lucas Moore. I realized it after the fact when I was messaging with him, but he's the guy that gave Tompkins their only loss this year. Like, Tompkins has 1 loss and he gave it to him. An uncommitted junior. I'm going to take a look at his. I know after we published some stuff on him, the followers went up pretty significantly. Let's see here. Oh yeah, it's gone up since then. So I know he was definitely hearing from some schools after that, but I shout out to him because he's the guy that gave Tompkins their only loss to date, and we'll see. Those 2 teams got to play again to end the season. Let's see here. Let's see. Yeah, Katie won again, and Tompkins won again. So yeah, Tompkins is sitting at 22-1, and Katie at 22-4. But Katie's perfect in the district. It's fun, like now that we've gone and seen like a bunch of teams and also some teams more than once, you kind of get a feel for what the district is shaping up to be like. And there's a lot of tight races in there, although it's kind of weird that 4 teams get in. So but I mean, yeah, that Katy district is pretty loaded for sure. But yeah, exciting. I'm gonna get to one tonight. Let's take a look at this one. Lake Travis and Westlake. That district race is so Lake Travis is 10-0 and Westlake's 9-1. So big one tonight between those 2 teams. And I can't believe Westlake's doing what they're doing because we know kind of the injuries that they've dealt with. They just keep winning. And I know they got Pierce George back on the mound recently. That's Lake Travis. They got him back on the mound recently, but Westlake just kind of keep doing their thing, even though they've had some injuries. But I'm excited to go out and get a look for them. And as these teams are kind of pushing towards district championships, and a lot of these games will go a long way to determine who wins the district and seeding and playoff positioning and all that sort of stuff. But it's fun. I've never really experienced the high school baseball playoff thing in like a long time. Just because I was always doing the college stuff, and I always remember I'd get to like the end and they'd be playing the state title games and stuff in Austin around. I'm like, man, that would have been nice to get around the area and go see some games. And that's definitely what we'll be doing. Still what, about a month and a half until the high school season ends. So a lot of baseball left to be played, a lot of performances, and a lot of stuff that'll go, maybe not a long way, but it'll go into the process when we go back through our rankings list for the 5 till 55 and finish up the 22 class after this, and get going on the 23 classes. Those guys head into their final summer. A lot of big performances still to come for those guys.
Yeah, no, it is exciting as you get to the end of these district races and they start shaping up. And from what we can tell, I think too, some teams are starting to manipulate their pitching a little bit to possibly get on more of a playoff type schedule. So that'll be something interesting to monitor. And note to self, check that before we go to a game.
Golly, ain't that the truth? Yeah, try to get it from the coach in writing who's going to start on the mound, or else you might be stuck seeing a guy you didn't think was going to pitch. But yeah, it's teams are kind of positioning, figuring out where they are, and everything else as they make those final pushes. But any other baseball takeaways for you, college-wise, pro-wise?
Well, college was a absolute circus this past weekend.
I didn't realize until my wife's cousin went to Texas Tech, and he's a big sports fan. And I was like, it's like, man, Texas Tech getting swept by TCU. I was like, wait, what? That happened this weekend?
That was like far from the insanity of the weekend. Like, I think like at least either 6 or 7 of the top 10 teams lost the series, and a couple of them got swept.
Jeez.
And then you had the Vitello bump.
Yeah. What did he get suspended? 4 games?
4 games. Yeah. So, but there's
honestly, a lot of times 4 games might be a little light on that.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, like, there's some history there, and I'm imagining that may have been weighed in a little bit. Mm-hmm. So, there's usually more to the story on a lot of these, kind of the same deal with the TCU Sarloos incident a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
But it's so hard. Everyone's a roller coaster.
It's crazy. Like,
it's just tough. Like, I mean, this is what you're going to get in the portal era. It's just kind of how it's going to be. I mean, look, Tennessee finally looked human, but they still beat an Alabama team that, like we said when we watched them early in the season, that they might make some noise, and they've been playing well. A&M's playing well.
They are. I think that they don't.
Yeah.
They're not in terms of the A&M, true expectations. I mean, but like, considering what the roster they inherited, I think those coaches have got to be thrilled with what they're seeing right now and the job that they're doing.
Well, they're going to have a big test this weekend with Arkansas. So that'll, I think as Kendall said, or tweeted yesterday, is like, hey, they're going to have, they'll if they beat Arkansas, they'll be ranked, like, bottom line. Obviously a lot easier said than done, but it's going to be a crazy last month of the season, jockeying for hosting and not hosting. Cause I mean, like, Texas lost 2 of 3 at Kansas State and is still in the top 10. I mean, because you look around, everyone around them lost too.
Yeah.
So it's just, there's a lot of moving parts and a lot to be determined so far.
The committee is going to have a really tough time this year with the hosts. Yeah, with the hosts and the national, everything. It's going to be because there's not going to be much separation with the hosts.
Yeah.
And on the flip side, there's going to be so many teams that probably have similar resumes that are decent enough to get into the tournament. It's going to be. And then you got to figure it too. If you're in the committee, you got to try to balance, the proper 2 seeds, the proper 3 seeds with the I mean, they're going to have a hell of a task this year trying to figure out how to do a bracket and who to host and how to balance it all. Yeah, looking at the Big 12, I mean, Oklahoma State at 9-3, TCU at 10-5, and then you've got, West Virginia's only played 9 conference games, 6-3. Tech will look like it might run away with it, and then they got swept. They're at 7-5, and Texas 6-6, and Oklahoma at 4-5, Baylor at 4-8. Yeah, it's just been chaos in college baseball right now. But a lot of Texas representation still. Texas State had a 4-0 week. They're hanging in there in the top 25. TCU's in there. Dallas Baptist is in there. Texas is in there. Tech. And then A&M's knocking on that door. I'm pretty stunned that they're 8-7 in the SEC and 22-13 overall. Just by looking at that roster and looking what the schedule they're going to have, they've got to be absolutely thrilled with what they're seeing so far.
No doubt. I think that's probably going to be the theme coming out of the season. And if they can find their way into a regional, some real momentum, and there's a path to it for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they're gonna have their chances. I mean, even with a midweek coming up against DBU, that's a quality resume game. Sam Houston midweek. They still got South Carolina, who's been beating a bunch of teams at home, and Vanderbilt and Arkansas. And they've got. I mean, in that league, every weekend is a chance to improve your resume. But them especially, they've got a lot of big names remaining on the schedule.
I thought it was really interesting. I saw a mock tournament field this morning. I don't remember who it was, but they had a regional that had Tech hosting with Texas State as the 2 seed and A&M as the 3 seed.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
We'll see that. Like, I bet A&M gets in as a 3, and they're gonna go to whoever is hosting in Texas, because it's going to be a non-SEC school. So you're going to see them at Tech. You're going to see them at TCU. Maybe if Texas hosts, you might see them there. I mean, we've seen it in the past. Mm-hmm. And then what do you do at Texas State? Because they'll probably end up at 2 seed somewhere. And yeah, it's they might end up hosting.
You think so? You got to be top 16. I mean, they're above that.
But their RPI is 54 right now. I don't think they're gonna. Yeah, I don't know. I'm looking at just eyeballing the rest of their schedule.
Well,
I don't know if they're gonna have the boost.
If Texas struggles, they might. If some of these teams in Texas keep struggling a little bit, it's not crazy.
Yeah, 54 RPI. They gotta get that at least close to 20, like in the mid 20s. Strength of the schedule 146. Yeah, it's gonna be. They've got 2 RPI wins over top 25, 2 in the 26 to 50. They've done a lot of. They got 21 wins outside the RPI 100. So maybe, but I think there's going to be. These leagues beat up on each other so much that the one positive is it kind of just creates pretty steady RPI numbers across the league, where you get these everybody plays good RPI teams, so the RPIs don't really change that much, especially in the SEC. But yeah, there's enough teams in this region, I think, that LSU is kind of, I don't know if LSU is going to be able to play their way into the hosting mix. 26 RPI, but 7-8 in the league. It's just been, every weekend it's just like who survives, who scratches a series win across. It's just been, once you think a team's about to make a move, they get sent back to earth again.
Yep. It should be fun. It'll make for some theater at the end.
Yeah, it won't lack theater. That's for sure, because I don't think there's any, besides Tennessee, I don't think there's clear cut great team, at least right now, and who knows what it looks like in the landscape in a month or so. But that's your college baseball update. We talked some pro baseball early on. Some exciting pitching matchups today if you like pitching, especially in the earlier games. But it's been kind of I don't know if I don't know what they did to the baseball this year. Again, they keep messing with it, but home run rates are down. There's kind of some weird stuff going on. They keep jacking with the baseball, and it drives me nuts. There's not any level of consistency there, but unsurprisingly, teams like the Dodgers and Giants are playing really well out of the gates. The Mets have had a strong start as well. We won't bring up your Rangers. Hell, my Red Sox aren't really playing that.
I'll bring up my lawyer buddy again. Big Rangers fan, follows it as close as anybody I know. He has been beside himself for the last 3-4 weeks about the lack of movement for one more arm.
Yeah,
and they had they did a half job on spending. They went out and spent a ton of money in free agency, and they could be a winning team if they had just acquired a couple more solid arms. That's it. Not big back up the bank truck with money type guys, but just a couple more major league average starter and maybe a reliever. I mean, they could have been a completely different team. They've been hitting. I just did a search for
half tank team pitching staffs. They are dead last in FIP in Major League Baseball, fielding independent pitching, basically kind of like the skills the pitchers control. So they have a negative team WAR in pitching. That's not good. And it's the Dane Dunning experiment and Spencer Howard, and I'm not really in on those guys at all. At least they get John Gray back today from his blister, and I think he's in for a 2-start week. And I love that acquisition. But yeah, I mean, it is kind of weird. You spend all that money getting Simeon and Seager if they don't really do anything else. On the flip side, though, I don't know who they could have gone and gotten. There weren't that many great.
There's better options than what is currently rolling out there.
Yeah, but you got to think too. It's a two-way street. Those guys have got to want to come play for you as well. It's tough to beat the Giants right now. For an Alex Cobb, because he sees what they're doing with they did with guys like Kevin.
Way better than the caliber of guy I'm talking about.
Well, who are you talking about caliber wise? Because I'm trying to think of the free agents that were available.
They're out there. They're better than Kobe Allard.
Yeah, is he even in the rotation?
No. And
see, the one that bothered me was they brought in Martin Perez. I guess Taylor Hearn's kind of shown some flashes in the past, but that's probably not a guy you want to depend on.
Right.
Looks like Spencer Howard's back on the IL with the blister. Yeah, I think the concerning thing is I don't know pitching depth wise, who's coming up beside. I mean, I know they brought Glenn Otto up. I know, but he's back down right now. Cole Winn is kind of knocking on the door, but the one that kind of hurt them is Koei Arihara, the guy from Japan last year, was just horrible. He just wasn't any good. Yeah. But no, it's okay, you spend all that money and then our pitching staff is just an abomination. That's going to be frustrating for sure. Especially in that park, which I think is geared more towards pitching than hitting. But sorry, Rangers fans. It might be a long year, especially with what the Mariners are doing. The zombie A's, no matter what happens, they just figure out a way to kind of put guys out there that score just enough runs and pitch just well enough to win a few games. And then the Astros doing their thing, and who knows what's going to happen with the Angels, but they might have a chance as well. So yeah, that's a fair gripe for Rangers fans. Kind of look at that pitching staff and not very good, but maybe they'll turn around. So, well, if you don't have anything else, that'll wrap us up for today's episode 58. Went back through, talked about some pitchers, some uncommitted an uncommitted senior arm to go take a look at. One of our new favorite pitchers and our guy, Andrew Hickey, the master of timing on the mound. Dominick Reid, strong start for him for Lone Star. And then getting out and seeing more good arms. I'll see another really, really good one tonight. And Luke Jackson, excited to see him again, because I think his arrow is really pointing up. But more district baseball to come as these teams kind of get positioned for the playoffs and make their run. And we'll be out there covering a lot of it. Still a long ways to go in the high school season, but it feels like things are kind of gearing towards teams separating themselves and positioning themselves for those playoff runs, what they hope are deep playoff runs. But get the Podbean to check out all of our podcasts. Apple Podcasts, hit the follow or subscribe button on there. Leave us a nice review if you feel so inclined to. We're publishing all these on YouTube as well. But really, as Joe was mentioning early on, all of our 5-tool coverage from all the stuff we go see, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok. Shout out to our guy from Klein Oak. What was his name? It's gonna bother me now. The guy that took one
smoked in that trip. Connell is the last name.
Spencer,
Connell?
I think.
No,
I'm gonna get this right. He deserves to have his name right. Let's see here. Yeah, so Shane Connell, uncommitted senior from Klein Oak. Shout out to Klein Oak. I went there for a year. He took a line drive off the face, off the head, and like stayed in the game, and didn't just stay in the game. Like, he started punching out dudes immediately after that. Like, I mean, TikTok made us take down the video. It's like that's how kind of, jarring
if you watch it, there's no way you think that guy's either alive or staying in the game.
I couldn't believe it. And I was texting with Nick Timms. He was there. I was like, was there's no blood or anything? Like, I just thought for sure. And like the sound, I was like, oh my God, like this guy is seriously injured. And he didn't even leave the game. He stayed in there and started punching out dudes. So gonna go ahead and nominate him for toughest pitcher in the state of Texas. And he's uncommitted. And I think, beyond that, like I think he touched 90, do some pretty good breaking stuff as well. So another senior guy to go take a look at. But yeah, you can see, if you want to see that video, let's see, we're over 15,000 likes on Instagram for that thing. But again, just go out, check out all of our content across all the social media platforms. They're there. We're there, seeing a lot of baseball. We'll be out places again tonight. So tune in for that coverage. But until we talk to y'all next time, thank you for listening. Have a good week and take care.